Here it is. This is Canon's brand new vlogging camera, the PowerShot V1. And I'll be honest, as I've been using it over the last few days, it's got some features that I didn't think you would be able to fit into a compact camera of this size. But is it worth your money, or should you take your money elsewhere? That's what I'll be looking at in this video. Now, right now I'm using my Sony ZV-E1, but I think what we should do is switch over to the Canon PowerShot V1 to use as the studio camera, and then you can see what it looks like in here as well as I tell you about this camera. So let's switch over now. This is how the PowerShot V1 looks as a studio camera. As you can see, it's a much wider angle than the ZV-E1, but I wanted to keep it at this angle because this is where you get the aperture of 2.8. I'm also using a Sennheiser microphone plugged into the camera on its auto settings. I'll try and label the shots if we use a different camera, but let's look around the body of this camera. The V1 can take 22 megapixel stills, has a 1.4 inch type sensor, so that's bigger than a ZV-1, but not quite as big as an APS-C camera like the R50V. It can film in 4K 25 frames per second and apparently has 4K 50 frames per second. However, on this lone unit, it was not available in PAL anywhere. I'm not sure if maybe a firmware update is needed. Now, you can also film up to 100 frames a second in full HD, which also looks pretty nice. The left side of the camera features a cooling fan, meaning it can, and in my experience has been able to shoot all day without overheating, something that a lot of other cameras can't do. It's also got a flip out screen, a photo to video switch, and the regular mode dials. On the right we have a mic jack, headphone jack, USB-C, and micro HDMI. The built-in lens is a 16 to 50mm lens from f2.8 to 4.5. It has a built-in ND filter with 3 stops and can even shoot in Canon C-Log3 and 10-bit, something I'll be shooting with throughout the rest of this video and right now on this shot as well. Now, who is this camera for? Well, if you take a look at the Canon site, they are clearly aiming this camera at content creators. As I mentioned before, I wasn't really sure if this camera would be any good, but so far, I've actually been really impressed. First off, the image quality coming out of this camera is really nice. The flip screen is definitely a little low resolution and really not bright enough when you're outdoors. So whilst I was filming and previewing the footage on the little screen, it looked kind of average, I'll be honest, but then when I got it back and I was downloading the footage to the Mac, wow, it looks super impressive. For a small fixed lens compact camera, I think you would struggle to find better looking video. Now, the V1 has a built-in 3-stop ND filter, which helps you bring down your shutter speed so you can achieve some of that nice motion blur. But the only issue is that I've found is it's not really powerful enough. Now, it's still a good to have, but I would have loved it if it was a 7-stop ND filter. That would be absolutely perfect. Out of the box, the camera films in 8-bit, but you can actually change it and film in C-Log3. This means the camera will now shoot in glorious 10-bit footage. This is great if you are doing any color grading and if you're using LUTs. So for this video, we're primarily using the official Canon LUT all the way through to convert the grey footage. But if you're looking for some cinematic LUTs for the V1, check out these ones that we've made here at Editor's Keys. Due to the quality of the image coming out of this camera, you can really get some amazing looking footage. So if you want to grab our LUTs, I'll put a link in the description below. So I thought I'd just stop for a second as I'm walking around with this camera just to kind of give you my thoughts and kind of like the new appreciation I've got for this camera. So when I first took it out of the box, I was surprised by how lightweight it was. It doesn't feel like a big hefty camera. It's got a good grip on it. It's not, it's not the smallest camera in the world, but it's got a good size to it. And what I've been impressed with when I've looked back at the footage is actually it looks very clean, the footage, very sharp. It punches well above its weight, I would say, especially if you shoot in the C-Log profile that I'm working in right now. But also what I've been impressed with is the built-in microphone. Now, a lot of cameras that have built-in microphones, they're kind of just passable. You can just about use them, but this actually sounds very good. I'm still using it right now. I haven't added any effects, but I think even if you added like a editor's keys audio effect, I'll put that on now, you can probably improve this audio even more. So I think this is definitely a camera that you could take with you on your travels. If you're just looking for a very high quality travel camera where you don't need to carry around lenses, you don't need to carry around additional microphones, you don't need to worry too much about settings if you don't want to, you can just, click record and go. Obviously I've got it a little bit more in manual. This could be the camera for you. I don't think you can get this level of quality, a better level of quality at this price range. Maybe the Sony ZV-E10 II, but they're very, very close. And the Sony ZV-E10 II you've got to buy additional lenses with. You've got the ZV-1, but no way. I mean, this for sure beats the ZV-1 and the ZV-1 Mark II. So yeah, thinking about it, I can't think of a camera that actually this doesn't beat. I mean, the Pocket 3, I love that camera. Pocket 3 is amazing, and I think the Pocket 3 beats this on certain levels. Like if you're walking around, the stabilization is fantastic. The audio is also good, but then you lose out on being able to change the aperture. You don't have really a zoom range at all. So very different camps. If your videos are you walking around filming yourself vlogging, DJI Pocket 3 is the way to go. If you are looking for nice stable shots of maybe buildings, retail, that kind of thing, that's the camera to go for. But if you want that professional level camera that you could use for weddings, that you need a bit of reach to zoom in and out of, or you want to do a bit of vlogging like I'm doing now, this is so good. But let's continue, shall we? Let's keep going around and explore some more of the settings. Now, if you're a walking and talking vlogger, you want really good stabilization. And on the V1, it's average to good. It's not as smooth as a DJI Pocket 3 or any action camera, but it's a lot smoother than Sony's ZV-1, the main competitor, I think, for this camera. Next up, let's talk about the zoom. The lens built into this camera is also really impressive. At 16mm, it's super wide, and it's actually wider than the Sony ZV-1 Mark II and the Pocket 3. It also has a 50mm zoom range, which is really nice zoom range for a compact video camera. Obviously, it's not super long. You're not going to be like doing bird photography and things. And honestly, I think if you need a longer reach than 50mm, you probably want a camera that has interchangeable lenses or a larger zoom. Maybe a camera with a fixed lens isn't for you. But for most content creation, I think this is a nice little zoom range, wide enough when you need to be wide, and zoomed in enough when you want to get nice shots of buildings and things like that. Now, the lens on this has an aperture of f2.8, so you're not going to get a lot of background blur, and I know that's what people like. They like the nice blurry backgrounds. And what's even worse is when you zoom in, it drops down even further to f.4. So this is definitely something that the Sony ZV-1 beats the Canon on. But as this has the bigger sensor, it really is actually a lot closer in real life. So to get the aperture down to f2.8, I've got the shutter speed set to 1/1600, so much higher than you would really want. But it does mean that you might get these nice blurry backgrounds. Now, it's not super blurry, and I'm not even sure if it's as blurry as my DJI Pocket 3, but it's still nice, and this camera definitely looks more cinematic compared to that Pocket 3 or your iPhone or something like that. So I think it's a really good match if you're looking to take your photography, your video, well, mainly video, to the next level, and you're moving on from something like an iPhone or a DJI Pocket 3. I think this could be the camera to go for, especially when the mic built in is this good. Now, I would definitely recommend buying an external microphone, but I think this just proves in a pinch you could use this. And if you want to keep your videography pack, what you carry around, as small as possible, this has got to be the way to go, surely, isn't it? Pretty good. I'm pretty impressed so far. Battery life has been pretty good too. I was getting about 3 hours of solid recording. So whilst not as good as my trusty Pocket 3, this is easily good enough for most scenarios. Also, batteries for this camera are cheap on Amazon, so I'd recommend picking up one spare if you can. They're about £25 when I last looked. I think honestly one battery is all you would need, because this has USB-C fast charging as well, and it does charge very fast. So if you swap the batteries over, you can be charging this with a power bank or just plug it in with your iPhone charger or Android charger, and it's going to charge super quick. Now if you do want more background separation, as you can see, it's not super blurry in the background, and when you zoom in you start to lose the aperture. But actually, because the sensor is a 1-inch sensor, if I just zoom in a little bit here, I need to angle the camera up, you can actually see that the closer we get, I've gone down to f4, I probably need to increase the brightness a bit, but you do start to get a bit of background blur. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to come closer to the camera, so let me just do that. I'm going to adjust here. So you can achieve this a little bit. So if you are worried about bokeh, I'm just going to try and fudge this a bit and do it for you. But we can see there, I'll zoom out a little bit. Let's just move this around. And there we go. So you can see things now are a little bit more blurry in the background. Again, it's not super blurry, but if you are worried about that, all you need to do is increase the distance between the background, zoom in a little bit. It's going to destroy your aperture numbers a little bit. We're on f4 there, but it does look a little bit more studio-like. And I think, again, with a little bit of editing, maybe with a nice LUT on, most people won't notice the difference anyway. So just a little note there about the bokeh. So I'm back on the Sony just so I can round up everything that we've seen in this video. And honestly, I'm pretty blown away with this camera. Yes, £1,000 is a lot for a camera, but actually when you look within that price bracket at the other options, for a fixed compact zoom camera that's designed for video, your only real other option is the Sony ZV-1. You can of course look at the DJI Pocket 3. I think that's in a slightly different category, and I'll be covering a versus between this and the Pocket 3 in another video. So if you want to see that video, let me know. But in terms of a compact camera, a camera with a zoom, a camera that has many professional features, I think the PowerShot V1 is the one to get, just because there's a few simple things. The microphone is very good. You could literally just use this microphone. You don't necessarily need to plug in an external microphone like I mentioned, even though you can. So I think that's a real bonus. It's got the fan, so it's not going to overheat like the ZV-1 does sometimes. The image quality is loads better. It can film in 10-bit. The zoom range is great. It's wider when you're holding it out from yourself. I just think, honestly, it's a joy to use. It feels better in the hand. It feels more premium. I think it's a camera that's going to last you for many years. It's not like an iPhone. It's not something that you need to upgrade every single year. The quality on this is going to keep you good for at least 5 years and probably longer than that. But this is an investment into your content creation journey. And you know what? I really love it. It's a shame I've got to send it back to Canon, because I would genuinely use this if I had this, and I'm tempted to even buy one for myself. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and make sure to check out our channel, because we're going to be doing a video on this versus, let me grab it, the R50V, which is Canon's other new camera. That video will be coming soon. Also going to be doing a video this versus the DJI Pocket 3. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.